Hey everybody, Donkey Storm here, and today we are going to make a video about why so many of the top Mythic Plus Holy Priests are switching over to Night Fae. So in this video, we're going to go over why that is, what are the benefits of Night Fae versus Kyrian, and I'll give you my own personal recommendation of if I think Night Fae is right for you. That'll all be down in the timestamps, of course, so you can check out whatever most interests you. If you're into the video, make sure you hit subscribe. And check out the stream Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday at 9 Pacific for more Mythic Plus healing stuff. All right, let's get started. Okay, so why are people switching to Night Fae? The TLDR reason is that Night Fae is a lot more defensive while Kyrian is a lot more offensive. And people are realizing that the Season 4 keys right now require a lot more healing out of your healer than the Shadowlands keys basically did. In Shadowlands, we had a lot of time to do damage, but it seems like in Season 4, there's a lot more damage going out, a lot more healing to be done. So let's just take a quick look at what Night Fae gives us. So when you go Night Fae, you're going to be using the Dreamweaver Soulbind. One of the big things that gives you is Pod Tender, which is basically a cheat death. You get put in a seed for a few seconds, and then you come back out. It's really nice, with a lot of heavy damage going out, a lot of one-shot mechanics so far in Season 4. This kind of allows you a little bit of margin for error. We're still using Resonant Words. However, as a second potency, you're probably going to want to use Holy Oration, which is going to give your Holy Words even more cooldown reduction than you've already got. You also get this Empowered Chrysalis ability, which is pretty nice. 10% of your over healing received or done gives the person a shield, which is pretty cool. So what you'll notice is that the Night Fae Soulbind just has a lot more defensive abilities than the Kyrian one does. So on top of basically Pod Tender, what does Night Fae give us? Well, it gives us Soul Shape, which is a really nice mobility skill to have. As I'm sure you know, priests lack mobility, and Kyrian does nothing to help us in that department. But most importantly, what it does is it gives us the Fae Guardian's ability. So let's check that out. It's a really convoluted Covenant ability with a lot going on with it. So basically, when you cast this, you get 3 fairies that go out. And let me move over to a target dummy so we can see all 3 of them. So when I cast this, I'm going to get 3 fairies. One is going to be a damage reduction fairy, which is going to reduce damage taken by 20%. And that's going to go on whoever I cast Power Word Shield on, or whoever I initially cast Fae Guardians on. So if I cast Fae Guardians on myself, I will receive that. If I cast it on the tank, they will receive that. And then if I want to change who has it, I cast Power Word Shield, and it will follow them. Hopefully you're still with me. Okay. The second fairy increases the cooldown reduction of a major ability by 100%, and this follows Flash Heal. So again, if I cast Fae Guardians on a mage, for example, their combustion will be have 100% cooldown reduction while this fairy persists. And if I want to give it to a hunter, I can cast Flash Heal on him. Now he has it. And if I cast it on myself, I'll keep it for myself. And then lastly, the third fairy goes on an enemy, and that basically makes it so that any direct attacks against the target restores 0.5% of your mana when it's hit. So basically you would put this on a mob, and it will follow your Shadow Word Pain. So let's get a look at this. Let's cast it on myself first. Or actually, I'll cast it on a mob. So we cast it on a mob. This mob now has that mana buff, and I have the CDR and the damage reduction. Now I could say, like, cast Power Word Shield on somebody else, and now they get the damage reduction. I could cast a Flash Heal on somebody else, and now they get the cooldown reduction. So there's a lot going on with this spell, but basically it's got 3 elements. It's got a mana back element, it's got a damage reduction element, and it's got a cooldown reduction element. And depending how you play, you can get more or less value out of this. So, for example, if you run with a, I don't know, fire mage, and maybe you're on Discord together, you can really help them out by making combustion come back a lot faster. But if you're in a less coordinated group where you don't really know anyone, you're pugging, it can be hard to get value out of the cooldown reduction. The damage reduction, though, is pretty straightforward. You can use it kind of like a pain suppression in a way. And there are a lot of things in Season 4 right now that hurt a lot. I've found a ton of uses for the damage reduction part. The mana back part isn't bad. I would say that mana is more of an issue than it was last season for sure, but still not a huge issue. We do get some back from the infiltrators, but it is helpful. So, is Night Fae right for you? I ran Night Fae rather than Kyrian for a day of running a variety level of dungeons, and this was my findings. First of all, my DPS was way lower than it was with Kyrian, even if I wasn't like completely maximizing my Kyrian DPS and I wasn't getting perfect boons off. I would say it was about half, so big drop in damage. I found uses. Pod Tender definitely has its uses. I could think of at least one fight that I had in a Moros encounter where Pod Tender probably saved the group. There was tons of ways that I could use the damage reduction. However, I was pugging and playing with a small number of guildies, none of whom like had a huge use for the cooldown reduction. So I would say if you're in a really organized group with a lot of coordination, you might find a lot of value out of Fae Guardians. If you're not, you might not get much out of the cooldown reduction aspect of it. So I think what it's really going to come down to is like, what kind of priest do you want to play? If you don't feel like you need extra added defensiveness and you prefer to do more damage, Kyrian would be the way to go. If you feel like you're having a hard time keeping people alive or a hard time keeping yourself alive, because this Covenant does provide a lot of self-sustain. You can use that damage reduction on yourself, and you got Pod Tender. Not a bad idea at all. And the nice part about the current iteration of Shadowlands is that you can swap back and forth. So if there are some dungeons that you feel like you have a really hard time healing, maybe like the Karazhans, for example, maybe you like running Night Fae. Maybe there's others like the Tazaveshes you feel more comfortable in. You want to do big damage in the Murloc area of Gambit, stay Kyrian. If you do want to switch, remember there's a vendor in Oribos next to the Flight Master that has an item you can buy that will increase your renown up to 60. So even though I hadn't played Night Fae since 9.0, I popped right up to 60, and as soon as you start doing dungeons, you start getting empowered conduits, and the renown comes really easily. So I wouldn't let that be a barrier to you if you want to try this out. So anyway, I just wanted to give you guys a quick video about why people are switching, and if you think switching is right for you. I think personally I'm going to swap back and forth based on the dungeon. I think that's probably a great middle ground to follow, but I'm really interested to know what you guys think about this. Have you tried Night Fae? Does it work for you? Is there anything that I missed? I'd love to hear about it in the comments section. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to see more WoW content in the future, and check out my live stream Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays at 9 Pacific, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.